We are once again joined by Chuck Todd with NBC's Meet the Press. And Chuck, come July 2020, you're going to be hanging out in Milwaukee. This is big news. Well, excited to have you come here. This is big news for Democrats because they feel this really fits a narrative for them in 2020. Do you agree?
Well, I certainly think it means the party is making a statement. They know they're saying we can't win the White House without going through the Midwest. Without winning those Midwestern states back of Wisconsin, Michigan, and then Pennsylvania, if you consider Pennsylvania the Midwest. I don't fully, but part of the industrial belt, at least a bit. And so that's clearly what this decision is about. They know that Arizona, Florida, Georgia, and Texas are certainly opportunities, but the fact is they chose Milwaukee to make that point. And the fact is, if you think about, remember when the statement Democrats made going into 2008, they went to Denver, and sure enough, they carried Colorado. These things can matter. You have volunteers and activists spending months preparing for a convention in a state. It does help build a ground game if you're actually targeting that state. I remember David Plouffe telling me, who ran Barack Obama's first two campaigns for president, said putting the convention in Denver was the only way they would have had a shot at putting together what they needed to do to carry that state.
And so you talk about building.
It does help.
And you talk about building the ground game. But in 2016, you talked a lot about the blue wall, and that came crumbling down, which included Wisconsin.
It did. And so it would behoove them. I mean, you look, it came crumbling down because of turnout that didn't take place in where? Milwaukee.
Exactly.
Right? It was Milwaukee, Detroit, and Philadelphia in particular that really sort of disappointed the Democratic base. So it's pretty clear. Democrats saying, okay, that was our hole, let's plug it.
So let's talk about July 2020 here. There's so many people in a diverse field right now, but it almost seems somewhat like deja vu compared to Republicans, which was it's such a diverse group along a spectrum here. Which lane are you in as a Democrat, and which lane will be the popular lane to be in come July 2020? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I think, Charles, the game now, especially with the way both Beto O'Rourke and Joe Biden are running, I think the game now is going to be which candidate can succeed in multiple lanes. You know, you may be able to, Bernie Sanders may have a huge success in his own lane a bit, and he may be the leader among progressives. But can he at all win over any other part of the Democratic coalition? I don't know how he gets the nomination without having a second piece of the coalition. Beto O'Rourke clearly believes his goal is to be all things to all Democrats for as long as he can, right? He can stitch together the Democratic coalition. Joe Biden in some ways is saying, hey, I can do the same thing. So I do think this will come down to which candidate can best essentially hog more than one lane of the Democratic field.
And by the way, Beto O'Rourke in Wisconsin this weekend. Chuck Todd, as always, we appreciate your help.
Thanks, Charles.